On this episode of Cape Media News, we get a sneak peek of Hit and Run History's newest documentary, Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck. Learn all about lavender at the Cape Cod Lavender Farm in Harwich, and say farewell to one of our favorite reporters, Tamora Israel. These stories and more, this is Cape Media News. You're watching Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson.
And I'm Tamora Israel. Thank you for joining us. Voting from home is now easier than ever. Earlier this month, Governor Baker passed a new law allowing all registered voters to vote by mail in the 2020 election. While vote-by-mail applications have already been mailed out, voters who wish to vote by mail must return their applications to their local election office no later than 4 business days before the election. To download the application to vote by mail, visit mass.gov and search Vote by Mail. In partnership with the Center for Coastal Studies, Care for the Cape and Islands has announced a Think Like It's 1620 Cape-wide remote beach cleanup. On July 31st, volunteers are invited to help clean up the beach and other locations in their community for at least 16 minutes and 20 seconds. Care for the Cape and Islands Think Like It's 1620 campaign recognizes the 400th anniversary of the Pilgrim's Landing and asks us to take care of Cape Cod, to restore and preserve its natural beauty. To learn more about this event or to register, visit careforthecapeandislands.org.
Speaking of history, the Emmy-nominated series Hit and Run History has announced its latest travel adventure, Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck, will screen at a pop-up drive-in next Tuesday at the Cape Cod Community Media Center in Dennisport. Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck, retraces the steps of Stephen Hopkins, who was not only aboard the Mayflower when it landed, but who also found himself stranded in Bermuda after a raging tempest. Did Hopkins' misadventures in the western North Atlantic Ocean inspire Shakespeare to write one of his most famous and well-loved plays? Local Cape Codder and Emmy-nominated producer Andrew Giles Buckley believes it did. I interviewed him about Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck, to learn more. Cape Media News reports.
Pretty much the first Wampanoag to ever walk through these walls. No, I'm just kidding. It's been about 400 years, though.
Calling all history buffs and Shakespeare fans, the 2-time Emmy-nominated travel adventure series Hit and Run History has announced the first open-air screening of its newest film, Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck.
Our latest, it's Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck. It's based upon focusing on Stephen Hopkins, the only passenger aboard the Mayflower who had been to North America before. This is the story of a person who not only went to Virginia and then returned to England and then was aboard the Mayflower when it came, 400 years ago, but also on his way to Virginia, the ship was wrecked and all the passengers and crew ended up stranded on Bermuda. And let's say the misadventures of that story found its way back to England before any of the passengers did, and it became the basis of Shakespeare's final solo play, The Tempest.
Upon this river dwelleth Massasoit. It cometh into the sea at the Narragansett Bay where the Frenchmen so much use.
A dreadful storm, hideous, began to blow from out the northeast.
Take in the topsail! Tend to the master's whistle! Blow till thou burst thy wind, broom and up!
To make Stefano, producer Andrew Buckley and his team made several international stops, following in the footsteps of Stephen Hopkins.
It's not just the story of Stephen Hopkins as he goes from England to Bermuda to Jamestown back to England and and on the Mayflower back to Plymouth again. It's the story of us following the story. So you are when you're watching this, you're basically become a member of the crew. the film crew. And we make discoveries all along the way, talking to local historians. So it's like really a personal tour through this person's story.
For Andrew Buckley, Stefano's story has both historical and personal significance.
My middle name is Giles. I am named after Giles Hopkins, the son of Stephen Hopkins. Giles was 13 when he came over on the Mayflower. My mother is a Hopkins who grew up on Hopkins Lane in East Orleans. So basically my family came to Plymouth 400 years ago and had enough of that, did not go west, went east instead, and spent the next 400 years living very quiet lives on the Outer Cape.
Hunting down the true story of Shakespeare's Tempest revealed the importance of lesser-known figures in our nation's history.
We often look at, the great men of history. We often look at them and say, well, if it wasn't for George Washington, everything would be different. But also, it's often people who play smaller roles, and meaning just like you and me, we never know what role we're going to play in a story that's told 400 years from now.
Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck, is playing at a pop-up drive-in Tuesday, July 28th at the Cape Cod Community Media Center in Dennisport. To learn more, visit Hit and Run History on Facebook. For Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson. To learn more about Hit and Run History or to attend next Tuesday's pop-up screening of Stefano, the true story of Shakespeare's Shipwreck, visit Hit and Run History on Facebook. Up next, we go inside the Cape Cod Lavender Farm in Harwich.
The world is talking about coronavirus, but it's hard to know what to listen to. We have answers to your questions like, who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65. People with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes. People undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov. Together, we can help stop the spread.
Summer months on Cape Cod can be stressful, with the influx of traffic, crowded beaches, and rising temperatures. Some people are looking for alternative ways to restore their calm. If that sounds like you, you might want to explore the healing properties of lavender. And there's no better place to find lavender than the Cape Cod Lavender Farm in Harwich. Cape Media News visited them to learn more. Emily Tulloch reports.
If the summer traffic, crowded beaches, and hot weather has you stressed, you may be in need of some lavender, which has natural calming properties that can alleviate anxiety. And what better place to go for some than the Cape Cod Lavender Farm in Harwich while they celebrate their 25-year anniversary.
We started the lavender farm 25 years ago, and we have been growing lavender and lavender products for that amount of time. We have a nice shop that we sell all sorts of lavender products as well as plants and fresh lavender. We have people that make products for us. We have people that do our labeling. We have people that do our marketing. So we were going to have a celebration, but COVID jumped in on us, so we postponed it.
Owner Cynthia attributes the popularity and health benefits of lavender to the longevity of her business.
We have done well with the lavender because the lavender has sort of led the way. When we started 25 years ago, lavender was just coming into vogue again. It's been around for hundreds of years, but its popularity was having a rebirth. So we were on the wave of before that wave. So we were positioned well when lavender started coming into its own again. So it has been a ride that lavender has helped determine for us, because people like to have it in their gardens, people like to have it fresh picked, people like it dried. It's wonderful in sachets, and the oil that comes from the lavender is good, has many benefits for health reasons. It helps with insomnia, and it is good for headaches, and it's a clean smell. It's good in soaps, and it's also good in flavoring food. So we've had all sorts of reasons to keep going with lavender.
Tucked away in acres of conservation, the farm allows for social distancing while being surrounded in natural landscapes of flowers, woods, and quietness.
We do find that we are a destination for those reasons. We have 100 acres of conservation land surrounding us, which has wonderful walking trails. The farm is a nice place to come and walk around, and it is a destination for those who want to get away or bring their children to walk around. We're grateful to everybody for having us be here after 25 years, everybody that's contributed to our success. There have been a lot of people that have been very supportive through the years that we're very grateful for.
For more information, visit CapeCodLavenderFarm.com. In Harwich, for Cape Media News, I'm Emily Tellick.
If you'd like to learn more about the Cape Cod Lavender Farm in Harwich, visit them online at CapeCodLavenderFarm.com.
Up next, we talk with reporter Tamora Israel before she embarks on her next big adventure.
People in Massachusetts are asking what they can do to help stop the spread of the virus. Our response? Answer the call.
Hello? Thanks for calling. I've been worried.
Thanks. Now I know what to do.
Through what's called contact tracing, the MA COVID team will be reaching out to everyone who's tested positive for coronavirus or who has been exposed. Look out for area codes 833 or 857 and answer the call to keep your community safe. Visit mass.gov/MA Tracing Team.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson.
And I'm Tamora Israel.
This next segment is extremely bittersweet for all of us here at Cape Media News. It's with sadness that we report Tamora Israel is saying farewell to all of us here on Cape Cod to embark on her next big adventure.
That's right. I'm moving to Atlanta, Georgia to be closer to family and to pursue a career in media.
We're so excited for you. We sat down earlier this week to reflect on your time here with us at Cape Media News. Let's watch.
Hi, you're watching Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson, and I'm here today with Tamora Israel, my dear friend and co-worker for Cape Media News. As our viewers know, she's been reporting with us since late last year on a variety of stories. Welcome to the show, Tamora.
Thank you for having me, Gabby. How are you?
Of course, I'm well. Actually, I'm sad because you are leaving us. You're moving on to greener pastures in Atlanta, Georgia. Tell us a little bit about your plans and why you're moving.
Well, I'm moving to Atlanta, Georgia to help my family out. I haven't been close to my family for about 15 years, so it's been a while. I've been on Cape for a while, and I have dreams of being in media, so I'm going to go chase those dreams in Atlanta, and hopefully it'll pan out.
It will definitely pan out. You have done such amazing work for us since you joined us. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your work for Cape Media News. Maybe walk us through what it was like coming to work for us and some of your first stories.
It was wonderfully nerve-wracking. I didn't know what I was doing, but the team was so welcoming and so kind. And my very first story was Big Nick's Ride for the Fallen. And it was a Christmas ride. And I had no idea what I was doing. But,
you could have fooled us.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went from Yarmouth Police Department, and I was talking to Chief Exaros, and he was so kind, and putting like all the equipment together, the mic and the stand-up camera, and learning how to do all that on the fly was really, really cool. And just being there, you notice as you start to talk to people when you're interviewing them that most people open up pretty well. And finding that within a conversation for like reporting for, different kind of stories, it's always interesting, and people are always interesting. And that was the first time that I really got to be a reporter and talk to people in that capacity, and it was really cool. It was really fun.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point about community reporting, that you're going out into the field and you're getting these stories and you're asking people to talk to you, complete and total strangers.
Yes.
And it really helps that you're such a friendly and engaging person. I'm sure you put people at ease. So right after you started working here, the world was hit with the COVID pandemic. And I remember we were still walking you through some very important training aspects of this job. And all of a sudden, you were forced to work from home. Tell me about that transition, and tell me a little bit about some of the stories that you were able to get from home.
Oh, wow. It was a whole new world. Like, to think about it now, it just sounds so otherworldly. There's no other word for it. So learning how to use the different programs from home was difficult, but having the support from, the staff here and YouTubing things, because I was just like, if I ask Jamie one more question, he's gonna go crazy. So, YouTubing how to work the different programs. It was difficult, but doable. One of the first stories that I did while in quarantine was a sleep story with Dr. Durante, and learning how, because we were all home, our sleep patterns were just kind of off, because what else are we gonna do? And having that knowledge about the different ways that people sleep, and giving that to the community, I think hopefully help people sleep and manage quarantine, which was difficult and hard and still weird to think about.
Absolutely.
But it was a challenge, but it was doable. And I had an okay time. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was interesting because, we went from telling stories about, community events and local politics to all of a sudden discussing something that was affecting the entire globe.
Yeah.
And at the same time trying to make it local. And so I really enjoyed watching your stories and your interviews with people in our local community who were able to talk about this situation, from sleep to social justice. I know, for example, that's another story topic, a field of topic that you really kind of dove into. Talk to me a little bit about some of the social justice stories that you've done on Cape Cod.
Well, I did a panel discussion on race with community leaders, and I felt it was important for us, not only as individuals, but as a community, to learn how to talk to each other. And in a time like this, where social justice is not just in this community, it's everywhere. Everyone is talking about race, and I'm so glad that we are. But sometimes people have questions and don't really know how to engage their community. So I thought it'd be really helpful, and hopefully it was, to have different community leaders explain what different phrases mean and how to talk to people in your community and learn from each other. Diving into that felt right. It felt like the right thing to do, and continuing down that road is something I'm very interested in.
Absolutely. You could not have picked a crazier time in history to become, and not even just crazier, exciting time to be a reporter. So I'm very excited to see you continue down this path. Before I let you go, tell me, what was your favorite, craziest story that you've done for Cape Media News?
Oh my gosh. So the craziest story was the polar plunge that I did with our coworker, Emily Tulloch. It was nutso. It was January 19th or the 20th or something like that. And everyone goes to the beach and they get in their swimsuit in January and run in the water. It was mind-boggling to me. And Tully went in the water and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go in the water, then I'm gonna come back. And do you think you can, get that shot? And I was like, girl, as long as I don't have to do it, yes, yes, I will. It was nuts. And people came out of the water like rejuvenated, you know, because that snaps your system right
Absolutely.
Whew.
That was a crazy story. I want to give our viewers a chance to take a look at some of that story.
Hello, everybody out there. It is Emily with Cape Media News. I am here at Smuggler's Beach. Me and Tamora, as you can see, Tamora is also over there. Tamara is catching some interviews. We're actually going to produce a segment for the Polar Plunge that is happening right now. We're going to be producing that next Friday. Tamara is. But anyway, we're here at the Polar Plunge. Tamara is getting some interviews for us. I'm going to be jumping in. I've never done a polar plunge before, but I thought, hey, why not? Today's a new year. Let's do it. And there you have it, folks. We, the Cape Cod community, said goodbye to 2019 and hello to 2020 in the best way we know how. Jumping in the ocean.
Boy, that looked cold.
Yeah, that was
very cold, but for such a good cause. Well, thank you so much for all the work you've done for Cape Media News. We are honestly going to miss you, and I know I speak for the entire community when we say thank you so much for your contribution to local reporting on Cape Cod.
Well, thank you to Cape Media News, to the community, for embracing me and allowing me to tell these different stories. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tamora, working with you has been such a pleasure. We wish you all the best and hope you'll send us updates from Atlanta.
I absolutely will.
Well, that brings this episode of Cape Media News to a close. Please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And thank you so much for watching.
We'll be back next time with a brand new episode. For Cape Media News, I'm Tamora Israel.
And I'm Gabrielle Rawson.